Many, many years ago, being a woman meant to be at home, give birth to children, and take care of the household. At that time, women also had no right to speech, had no right to elect, had no right to decide anything by themselves. In a way, a woman had to be passive, to be in the shadow of her man in order to survive. And because of that, people nowadays still do believe that femininity means being passive. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Michaela, and today I want to break the illusion that being feminine means being passive. Let's get into this. First of all, I want to go through what actually means being passive. Being passive looks like neglecting yourself, neglecting your desire in order to meet the expectations of others, for example. Or being passive means also to not voice your opinions, to not set your boundaries, and to say yes and amen to everything that other people are saying. Being passive also comes in people pleasing, in not expressing your emotions. It comes in so many ways, but deep down, when you're being passive, you are simply like a blank canvas and you are hoping for someone else to give you input, or you are allowing someone else to give you input to paint something on your blank canvas. Now, the reason why many women become passive, especially when they are in a relationship, is because of what happened many, many years ago in relationships and what happened to us women. Even if we don't feel it, even if it's hundreds of years ago, in us is still engraved that when we are in a relationship, we have to give our everything, our all for that relationship. We have learned that our life is actually dependent on a man. Our life is dependent on how much we compose ourselves, on how much we can shrink ourselves and say yes to everything that someone else wants from us. Hundreds of years ago, for example, women were alive burned because they were being called witches, just because they were standing up for themselves. So we have learned that in order to survive, we have to say yes, we have to suppress our emotions, we have to be passive, especially with a man, and that all we have to do is to give birth to children. That's why many women are actually afraid of being feminine, of expressing their feminine energy, because deep down they are afraid they cannot survive in their feminine energy when they have to be passive, being dependent on someone else. But let me tell you something. Being passive has nothing to do with being feminine, and being afraid of being feminine has also nothing to do with truly being feminine. And when I'm talking about being feminine, I'm talking about divine feminine energy. I'm not talking about giving birth to children. I'm not talking about being the wife of a husband. I'm not talking about being a mom. I'm not talking about all of these attributes of being a woman. I'm talking about what truly is being feminine, what truly means being a woman in her divine feminine energy. The most important thing is being independent in all ways possible. Being independent does not mean that you're being masculine. Being independent means that you have your own masculine container. You as a woman have to have your own masculine container in order to provide that feminine foundation for you. How you can understand that? As I told you in another video, feminine energy is like water. And when you think about water, water is very powerful, right? Especially when it's a lot of volume of water. When you have a lot of water flowing without any container, For example, when a river is overflooding and it breaks, it can destroy whole cities because it doesn't have a container anymore. Now, when you are imagining yourself as that feminine woman and your feminine energy is powerful water with a lot of volume, if you do not have your container, it ends up in chaos and it can not express itself fully because it's gonna spread everywhere and gets lost in every corner, gets lost in every single station, in every single part of the earth, but it has lost its power because when water spreads over a big surface, for example, it also loses its power. It can only be powerful with a lot of volume directed in the same direction. Another way you can imagine that is as yourself being a queen. If you as a queen do not have a castle, which is your foundation, which is your container where you can stay safe, people can attack you, people can kidnap you. A queen without her castle is not safe. And outside of her castle, she is also not safe to express herself. She is not safe to be the powerful queen that she actually is, because when people would know without her container, people could do harm to her. That's why a queen without her castle is living in fear and cannot express herself fully. And your feminine energy is that queen, and your container, your masculine container, is that castle. So you always need to have in mind that you as a woman need to have your own masculine container. When I'm talking about masculine container, I mean that you are being able to take care of yourself emotionally, take care of yourself financially, take care of yourself spiritually. You have to be able to take care of yourself in all ways possible. Now it's very different if you want to be independent at all costs and do not allow any man to help you, if you do not allow anyone to support you, if you are hyper independent, that's something completely different. Being independent in your feminine energy means that you are able to do so. You have your savings, you have your trust in yourself, you are emotionally so grounded that you know whatever happens, I can always leave. I can leave that situation, I can leave that man, I can leave that husband, I can leave everything behind me because I know I got myself financially, emotionally, and spiritually. If you have no savings, if you have no passive income or in general income, you cannot feel safe. Of course, when you have very rich and wealthy parents, it maybe gives you a better opportunity because you know, my parents always got my back. I can always go back home. But believe me, that's not always the case. And also be careful with that. Because once your parents are not here anymore, once your parents say, we don't want to support you anymore, then you are again in a position where you are dependent on someone else and you need to fend for your life literally in order to survive. So in order to build that masculine container that supports your feminine, you have to learn to set boundaries and stick to them. When something is bothering you, when something doesn't align with you, you have to say that. You have to say, I do not want this anymore. You leave the situation, you leave the person. That's a feminine trait. Femininity is not being passive. Another thing is routines and having discipline when needed. Discipline itself is a very masculine energy, but sometimes as a woman we need discipline. You cannot create anything without discipline. And you can start by creating a healthy sleeping schedule, for example. If you have a healthy sleeping schedule, this is discipline that is not taking away from your feminine energy. It actually builds the container for you to express your feminine energy. Another thing, as already mentioned, are your finances. Financial freedom means absolute freedom. I truly believe you only can be truly feminine, truly in your feminine energy, when you are financially free from everyone. That means that you are not dependent on your parents, not on your husband, not on your siblings, not on anyone. And I do believe many men actually take advantage of that, because they know when they support you, you can be truly and fully in your feminine energy, but men would only support you that much so that they can keep you kind of small. Like, they can keep you there in this box that you cannot grow out, that you cannot decide to go away, that you have to stay, and you are kind of still dependent on him, on your man, in order for him to have you under control. That's why it's so important to have your own container. When you have your own container and a man comes into your life and provides you a bigger masculine container than you can provide to yourself, then you can also express your feminine energy even more, because you know that you are safe in your own masculine container, and what a man brings to you is additional and makes you grow. And then also a man is realizing, oh, the more I support my woman, the more container I am providing to my woman, the more she can expand in her feminine energy, and the happier she will be, the happier he will be. That's why I do believe also in some countries, relationships and marriages do go better in general, because men do understand, hey, when I am providing for my woman, when I am giving her a bigger container, then she can expand. They do that out of love and not out of fear. When a man is doing that out of fear, he always knows how much to provide for you in order to keep you hooked, but in order for you to stay in his bubble and not step out. If any man is watching that here, if you do that to any woman, you will never get to see her fullest potential. A man that is holding her under control and keeping her stuck with a smaller container than he would actually be able to give her, you are never getting to experience the full potential of your beautiful woman. And at the end, that's something you will be missing out. And once she realizes what's going on, she will also find someone else who can give her a bigger container out of love instead out of fear. Another tip for my ladies, when you are already in a relationship, in a marriage, and you do not have yet your container, your masculine container, and you feel kind of stuck in that relationship, try to communicate what you heard in this video. And if you already get allowance, like many women do in many countries, your allowance, it's girl money, it's for you to spend on your girl things, but also understand this girl money, spend it wisely. When you invest, when you spend it on things that hold value, you are also creating your own container, your own masculine container, which will eventually allow you to be more happy, to be more feminine, and to have more money and abundance flowing into your life. Unfortunately, in Europe, in the US, in the UK, men are still so small-minded, and men still believe in 50-50. They believe that everything should be equal, and they do not understand what they actually are missing out by not providing that masculine container. Of course, it has more to do than only with financial resources, but we cannot deny that money nowadays is important. I'm not saying you need to be rich as a man in order to be able to create a masculine container, but you as a man need to be able to take care of your wife and eventually your children by yourself. Your task is to create that masculine container for your family. That's why you were put on this earth. And once you understand that as a man, and once you truly do that out of love, you understand what this is truly about, your life will also grow. Your finances will automatically grow. Your life will start to bloom once you start to bless a woman, once you start to truly out of love give a container to a woman. I can guarantee you every man out there that is stuck, every man that is not successful, every man that is living in survival mode, it's because he is in a lack mindset and he doesn't understand the impact of taking care of a woman. Only a man that is denying to take care of a woman, only a man that is denying to be the container for a woman, only those type of men are stuck. I have never seen a man that is truly appreciating his wife, his love, his woman, is truly providing that masculine container for her that is broke. Men are only broke when they are not providing a container for a woman. And I am not saying that a masculine container has only to do with finances. A masculine container is so much more and goes beyond finances. Now, being passive means not having boundaries. Being feminine means having firm boundaries, but knowing how to express them in a soft way, but also not letting anyone cross those boundaries. Being passive means not expressing who you are as a woman, denying parts of yourself, making yourself smaller because you feel like you have to in order to survive, in order to impress people. While being feminine is free to express the full version of herself. Being feminine means that you can be whoever you are with your flaws, with your awkwardness, with everything that you are, and you own it. The whole thing about femininity is that you are light and you love how you are, and that's why you're expressing how and who you are. Being passive means depending on someone else emotionally, financially, spiritually, whatever it is. And being feminine means to be independent but still allowing yourself to receive. You still allow people to help you, to support you, to pay your bills, to whatever it is, you still allow to receive. Again, being independent as a feminine woman doesn't mean that you're hyper independent and you don't allow anyone to help you. Being dependent and being independent both doesn't make you feminine. You have to master independence in a feminine way, which still allows you, as I said, to receive without feeling guilt. Being passive means that you are putting your dreams on a shelf in order to help other people to achieve their dreams. That has nothing to do with femininity. True feminine energy knows that they are deserving to follow their dreams. They are deserving to achieve their dreams, and they are putting themselves and their dreams first. But while doing that, they are not neglecting others around them. They are not pushing others away. They are still allowing others to help them, to exchange help. They are still allowing the flow of life in order to achieve their own dreams, but also in order to allow, for example, your husband to achieve his dreams while you are achieving your dreams. It's not an either or. If it's you and your husband or you and your bestie, you and someone else, you can both help each other to achieve your dreams simultaneously. It's not an either or. Being passive also means that you are not expressing your opinions, not expressing any of your thoughts in order to not make others upset, in order to not make others think about you in a way that would not help you, that you would not like them to think about you. And being feminine means that you know how to express your thoughts, you know how to make your voice heard without screaming, without being harsh, without being overpowering, without arguing. While you are expressing your opinions as a feminine woman, you are also letting other people expressing their opinions and allowing their opinions to be. You do not feel the need to change other people's opinion, which would be in her masculine. When a woman again is in her masculine energy, she would express her opinions and would try to convince other people of her opinion, because she cannot allow other people to have their opinions. Now, in every circumstance in your life, you have always three options. Either you're being passive, or you're being masculine, or you're truly being feminine. All of these three options are three completely different options. Being feminine doesn't mean being passive, and being masculine doesn't mean being passive. Being masculine is also not the same as being feminine. There are three different ways to approach any circumstance in life. So in any circumstance in your life, ask yourself, how would you like to react? And from all these three options, being feminine is always the option that is giving room for others while protecting her own room. Being feminine is always respecting and prioritizing her own boundaries while also respecting the boundaries of other people. Anyways, guys, I hope this could help. I hope you understand now that being feminine doesn't mean you have to be passive. I hope you understand why people do think that in the first place. And I hope you know now what to do the next time in any situation in your life and how to approach it with your divine feminine energy. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.